What's going on, everybody? I am having tech problems over here. Things are not working the way that they're supposed to. That's why my face looked weird when I came on. Anyways, glad to have you guys here. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see me. Hopefully nothing else is messed up. I don't know what was going on with that. I'll have to look into that later. Either way, welcome in, guys. Glad that you're here. The Prophecy Misfits Podcast. Yes, that's what we do, and it's episode 330. So... Hey, not of this world. I see that. Don't start. Don't start. Anyways, good to have you guys here. And yeah, we're starting off great, as you can see. But yeah, welcome in. And this is what we do on Tuesdays and Saturdays. We get together and we watch for everything going on right now. It is absolutely insane. I've had a backlog for 2 weeks straight. I still have a pile of stuff that I've been collecting over the past 2 weeks that I still haven't been able to get to and talk to you guys about. And so I'm trying my best to get to everything, but this world is going crazy, absolutely crazy. And we know that when these things are going crazy like this, we should probably be paying attention to see if there's anything that applies to us as Jesus followers and prophecy watchers and all that type of stuff. But glad to have you here. If this is your first time in, this is what we do. And yeah, we do things a little bit different around here. We are misfits. We follow Jesus and we question the narrative. We ask the question, why? Because that's a question that seems to have disappeared in the church, especially as of late. It's incredibly uncomfortable and frustrating and heartbreaking and all those types of words to see the church and believers and those who call themselves Christians and stuff like that just get swallowed up into clear deception. I don't know if it's clear just because we know what's going on or if it's just clear because it's clear. I think some of it is just clear, but yeah, it's hard. But we just keep doing what we're doing and we just keep tabs of everything happening. So welcome in. Glad to have you guys here. But yeah, episode 330, the Great Firewall, and some pretty interesting stuff that we're going to be going over tonight. First things first, as you can tell, we're still here. That rapture didn't happen. Don't worry though, the goalposts have been moved again. Shocking, right? But yeah, so I'll kind of mention that a little bit. I'm not going to go full ham on it, but there are a couple things that I do want to mention. We also got some stuff coming with the Con Man, Jonathan Cahn. He appeared on Roseanne Barr, so we're still continuing to see that evolution of mysticism, of quote-unquote Christianity forming with politics in the secular world, which should not surprise us. So we got that. We also got an update on some of the tariff stuff going on because it's just stupid, the tariffs that's being pushed forward right now. Another case of government possibly shutting down. This happens all the time, but it might be worth paying attention to this time. So I wouldn't put too much weight on it, but I still think we should mention it. We also got some stuff, troops getting deployed in Portland now out of the blue. So we got that going on. What else we got? We got a weird situation where Hegseth is calling in 800 global U.S. generals that are deployed globally. They're all supposed to be coming in for what he deems as just a 3-part short lecture, which doesn't make much sense. So we'll kind of look at that. We really don't have much detail on it, but we'll take a look. We also got stuff where we heard talks about a month ago that the U.S. was going to strike within Venezuela. Looks like we're getting some more information that may actually happen. So we got that. We also got the UK is now issuing a mandatory digital ID if you want to work, and there's some more stipulations, as there always is with things like that. Arizona enacts their own law, which is mandating biometric digital ID for what they deem as adult websites. Of course, it's broad. We'll get into that. Elon Musk's XAI is now partnered up with the United States government, OpenAI and NVIDIA. They've got a deal going on for $100 billion for data centers. We also got the TikTok deal, which has to do with the Great Firewall. We'll talk about that and some other stuff. It's just crazy. Yeah, we're gonna get into all that stuff tonight. I told you, it's never let a good crisis go to waste. I'll just say that. Never let a good crisis go to waste. So. All right, let's see how y'all are doing in the chat tonight. I saw this dude, which I got to pull up right now. Misfit Matt is here. Dude, what is up, man? I'm glad to see you here. It's been a long time. I know there's people in the chat that have been praying for you, man. Glad that you're here, and hopefully you're doing all right and stuff like that. It's good to see you, man. So thanks for coming in. So, dude's my brother, guys. He is my brother, and I love him. So it's always good to see him. Let's see. We got Epsy is here as well. Good to see Epsy, and hopefully you're doing all right from across the pond. You've got the digital ID situation happening in your backyard. I'm not sure what your plans are with that, but should be fascinating. But glad to see you, Epsy. Jalapeno in the house. Good to see you, Jalapeno. And thanks for being here, man. Appreciate you. And hopefully you're doing all right this Saturday evening. Lori S is in here as well. Good to see you, Lori. Thanks for being here. Country Darlin is here as well. Appreciate you, Country Darlin. Peanuts Gallery is accounted and present for with the wonderful Olivia picture. So still praying for you, Peanut. And just remember, all dogs go to heaven. So they made a couple movies about that. Let's see. Patrick Starr. What's up, Patrick? Good to see you. And hopefully you're doing all right tonight, man. Appreciate you. And yeah, it's been a heartbreaking week, as we were discussing earlier. But good to see you, man. Gracie is here as well. It's 9:25. It's 9:27 now. Good to see you, Gracie. Nancy West is here to cause trouble. Good to see you, Nancy. Appreciate you. Bab Bab is here as well. Good to see you, Bab Bab. We got Jellyfish as well. Good to see. Did you change your name back? Y'all got to stop changing your names. I can't keep track of y'all. Good to see you. Patter is here as well. I knew I heard the pitter patter of Patter coming in, so good to see you. Bryce Higgins is here as well. Good to see you. Dana Man Gump Ride is here. Good to see you, man. Name gets me every time. Glad to see you. This thing jumped on me again. Citizen of Heaven is here as well. Good to see you. Misfit Tina and Peanut the Pug. Good to see you guys. Nicole is here as well. Good to see you, Nicole. Let's see. We got Trace is here. Always good to see you, Trace. Thanks for being here. Let's see here. Jojo by His Grace is here as well. Good to see you, Jojo. See you down by the river. Charlotte Marshall is here as well. Heard Heck Seth is bringing him in for a pep rally. Yeah, I'm not buying that at all. I'm not buying that at all. Not at all. But good to see you, Charlotte. Jessica McCord is here as well. Spam. Yes, Spam. Good to see you. Dino Spumoni's in the house. Good to see you, Dino. Thanks for being here. Mindy Grant is here as well. Good to see you, Mindy, and hopefully you're doing all right tonight. Let's see here. We got Victoria as well. Good to see you, Victoria. You guys are going to be doing your knitting, crocheting. That's crochet. Yeah, crochet. That's right. Good to see you. Me is here as well. Have you heard of Christopher from YouTube? CBJ Brooks. Let's see here. It doesn't sound familiar, but sometimes I got to see the channel to see what's up. His face looks familiar, but I don't know his channel, so I can't endorse or recommend him. So his face looks familiar, though, but that's all I can say, so I can't recommend him. Lala is here, new here. Well, welcome in, Lala. Glad to have you here. And this is an interesting place. Hopefully you like it and stick around. Appreciate you. Judah is here. Hopefully you're feeling well, man. Good to see him. Did you change your picture? I think you changed your picture, man. Looking good. Hopefully you're doing all right tonight, man. Let's see here. Danny Esmerna Santana. I probably butchered that, but good to see you. I'm ready to go home. I am too. Let's get out of here. Tracy Donovan is here. Good to see you, Tracy. Carol Lamb is here. Good to see you. Not of This World is here as well. Good to see you. Am I missing anybody? No, I'm missing a bunch of people. Let's see. Patricia is here as well. Dulos Bondservant is here as well. I want to be Harpots. Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm ready to get out of here too. Let's see. Over on Rumble, who do we got on Rumble over here? I can see we got a spam bot in there. That's great. Let's see. CL Moody's there. Good to see you, Moody. Cherokee Chick. That's a cool name. Good to see you, Cherokee. Let's see. Pickleweeds. That gets me every time. Yeah. Some of you have great names like Doodle Toot Abby Normal, Pickleweeds. You guys got some good names. Jacques is here. There's Ostrich. I don't know if Ostrich is here as well. Good to see you. Jacques is here. Dan Jimenez. I can't. I don't speak Greek. Sorry. Romaha is here as well. Good to see you. Over on the website, we got Sherry M. We got T. Mickey, Judy, and Jim. Good to see you. Doc is here as well. Let's see here. I know I missed somebody. Katie's over there as well. Good to see you, Katie. This thing is not rolling with me. There we go. Amanda's there as well. So good to see you guys. If I don't pick you out, it's not down like it. It's just we got a bunch of stuff to get to. Hopefully my button is going to work. So let's hope.
Housekeeping?
No, thank you. Sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Hey, that button worked. That's good stuff. All right, housekeeping. Usual spiel. If you guys can like, share, subscribe, get this out to as many people as you can. It's not about views, not about butts and seats, but it is about getting the warning out to people and getting people to Jesus. That is the main point of what we do. And of course, we take a very different route behind that. But I know there's a lot of people that are lost. They're looking for answers. They know that something's wrong and they're trying to figure something out. So if we can try and answer some of those questions and point them in the right direction and ultimately get them the gospel, that's the best thing that we can do. So if you guys can do me a solid and like, share, subscribe, it would certainly, I got a thing flying around me, certainly help. Also, make sure you guys follow me, Rumble and Telegram. Those are my backup channels. What is going on with this thing? Hold on. Something is going, I don't know what's going on. That Rumble chat is messing up. Not the, it's the Rumble. I hate Rumble. Follow me on Rumble. Telegram. If you guys don't like Rumble or Telegram, no worries. Just make sure you guys follow me on the official WretchedWatchmen.com website. It's your one-stop shop to stay up to date on what's going on with all things Wretched Watchmen. We've got the latest podcasts, announcements. Of course, the live streams are over there now and all the good stuff. So make sure you guys go ahead and bookmark that website so you always stay up to date. And then last but not least, if you guys like to support this channel, what I got going on, I got donation links down below. CashApp, Venmo, and Give, Send, Go. This channel's not monetized. I don't make anything from ads, views, anything like that. Runs solely off of your guys' generous donations. Thought I got that bug. It's one of those weird fruit fly things. Sorry. Yeah, if you guys like to support, those links are down below. Thank you guys for your support and your blessings. We are way off the rails, but I got weird buttons happening. I got Rumble chat acting up, and I got fruit flies. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Either way, glad to see you guys. And if you guys would like to support those things, those links are below. Thank you guys for your support and everything. You guys make this chaos happen. All right. That's that. That's housekeeping. Good stuff. All right. So it is Saturday. And what we do on Saturdays, of course, is the Wretched Weather Report. So let's go ahead and get into that, shall we?
Everybody got their fancy hats? Let's go!
All right, so Saturdays we do the Wretched Weather Report, and what we do is we just keep track of the trends of what's going on when it comes to natural events, things like volcanoes and earthquakes and storms and hurricanes and tornadoes and twisters and flying cows and all that type of stuff. So if you get the reference, you get the reference. Either way, I'm not a meteorologist, I'm not a geologist or any of that type of stuff, but it is worth keeping track of these things. These are part of the birth pains. They're going to increase in size and frequency as we get closer and into the day of the Lord. And of course, Daniel's 70th week and all that type of stuff. And so these are going to increase. And as we know, there are things happening with weather manipulation, but there's also things happening where God is, I like to just picture like a big mixing bowl of the earth, and he's taking his finger and kind of just spinning things around. And so it's a combination of all these things occurring, but it is worth keeping track of, in my opinion. So as we can see here, we got a few earthquakes more than usual the past couple of weeks. And so right off the bat, this past week, I just have a 5.9 for Petropavlovsk, Kamchatsky, Russia, which is the continuing aftershocks of the mega one that just struck last week. So that just kind of fills in for a whole bunch of aftershocks. That's the biggest one of this past week from the big one that occurred. So we have that. And then we had a 5.5 in Adak, Alaska, 5.5 and a 5.6 in Velichynsk, Vilyuchinsk, Russia. That is not close, but you guys can read it. Then there's a 5.5 in the Kermadec Islands, New Zealand, a 5.5 in Minas de Marcona, Peru. Then there's a 6.2, and then the big one of the week was a 6.3 in Lagunitas, Venezuela, and then there's a 5.8 in Trujillo, Venezuela as well, which is interesting because we don't usually, every once in a while, there's some earthquakes in Venezuela, but we don't usually see large earthquakes hit in Venezuela like that. And it's interesting timing with all that we know going on with the United States and Venezuela, the situation there, that all of a sudden we got a couple big ones popping up in that region. So I'm not saying there's anything to that, but I'm not saying there might not be something to that, because they do have the ability to create these things. So something to keep in mind. I just want to point it out. This is why we keep track of the trends on these things. And there's a 5.7 in San Patricio, Mexico, 5.9 in Bandon, Oregon, United States. That region over there in Oregon's kind of been rocking a little bit lately, so if you're over on the Pacific coast, it might be worth keeping tabs of that. And then a 5.5 in Sola, Vanuatu as well. So interesting occurrences here with Venezuela and Oregon and so on and so forth. In those regions. As far as volcanoes, we got 45 volcanoes actively erupting around the world, which is down 2. We're still sitting within the global average of 44 to 48. We got 8 in North America, 4 in South America, 2 in Europe, 2 in Antarctica, which is down 1, 3 in Africa, 20 in Asia, which is down 1, and then 6 in Oceania. So, yeah, -1 equals -2, and that's how we get to 45. So there's your math lesson for the day as well. Also worth pointing this out. I'm sure everybody over there on the East Coast already knows what's going on with this, but worth pointing out, we got 2, I think the tropical storm finally reached hurricane level. I could be wrong on that, but it is expected to if it hasn't yet. But we got 2 hurricanes raging over there in the Atlantic, and there's a chance that they may come together, which could be very weird. What happens, they may become one, they may launch off of each other and go in different directions, so they're having a hard time forecasting where they're exactly going to hit. But we got Hurricane Humberto, and then the other one is Imelda, I believe. What's going on with that? Hurricane forecasters are watching 3 major risk factors for people across a swath of East Coast, a complex dance of weather that has led to a troubling forecast for late of September. First, Hurricane Humberto is roaring out of the Atlantic Ocean as a major hurricane. It has reached Category 5. So Humberto has hit Cat 5 as of now. Second, another storm that strengthened into a tropical depression on September 27th will soon be named Imelda and is expected to travel parallel to a stretch of coastline from Florida to the Carolinas. So these things, how they're directing so far is one is supposed to go up the coast of Florida and really hit into the North Carolinas, where they're already still trying to recover from the last 2 that were over in that region. And then the other one is expected to just miss, but they don't know if they're going to come together and form a big one or bounce off of each other. And so they don't exactly know how that's going to play. So there's some interesting situations happening in this region. So if you're over there, I'm sure you guys are already paying attention, but if not, if you're one of those rare people that's living in that region and you don't know about this, I'd be paying attention to what's going on and prepare accordingly. I do want to point this out. This is from Max Velocity. He's one of the few weather guys that I recommend. Max Velocity and Ryan Hall. Those are the 2 that I recommend. I know there's other 2 that people like to follow. I don't like them because they get into stuff that is just way too far even for me. So I would go with Max Velocity and Ryan Hall if you want to pay attention to what's going on with these storms. But Max pointed this out and said, for the first time since the Great Depression, we've had consecutive hurricane seasons with multiple Category 5 hurricanes in the Atlantic Ocean. So that's a pretty interesting tidbit of trivia on that. I'm not saying there's anything to it. I'm just saying it's pretty interesting that since the Great Depression, this is the first time with the hurricane situation, which paying attention to our economy, we're heading towards one of those anyways at the same time. So just kind of fascinating on that. So, but yeah, so that's what we got. Pray for those in the East Coast region for this situation. There's still a lot of question marks up in the air. Usually by this time, there's a somewhat solidified path to these things. And because there's so many questions of what could happen if these things hit, it's kind of all up in the air. And when it comes to devastating weather, uncertainty is never fun. It's not a good thing to deal with. So, all right. And that's what we got for the Wretched Weather Report today, or this week, however you want to put it. So, you guys are talking about max headroom? Really? Wow. Y'all are crazy. Max headroom. Yeah, that's a trip right there. We're just going to leave that one alone. I'm not going to get into max headroom. So, all right. That's what we got with that. So let's go ahead and get into the first one. Sorry, I got a car driving by. Get into the first thing that we got going on. And I just want to talk about it briefly because there's a couple things that I do want to point out. And the first things first is we're still here. The rapture that was supposedly predicted or confirmed, or God gave dreams and visions and stuff like that for this 9/23 rapture did not happen. And I'll get accused from those people that predicted that things that, oh, you're taking delight in that it didn't happen. Not at all. That's something that I think is fascinating, that gets pushed on those who don't follow the date setting. Oh, you're happy that it didn't happen. Not at all. I wish it did. You know why? Because I wouldn't be here. But it didn't, because, well, I don't know, because that wasn't the appointed time by God. But the thing is we're not called to select those dates. We don't know. It's something that only God and Christ know. That's it. And so there's no hidden knowledge. There's no mystic, Gnostic way that you can Da Vinci something out of the Bible to figure these things out. But of course, a lot of them are moving the goalposts now. They're saying, no, now it's October 7th because you have to go by this calendar for this thing and that. And some are saying now there's a 2-week window here, and they can't get their stuff straight. They always got to keep moving it and whatnot. But the biggest thing, and we got to make sure that, and I want to point this out, we got to make sure that we subscribe to what the Bible specifically says. And a lot of them like to twist the Bible and say, we're watching for the date. That's what Jesus commands us to do. No, Jesus does not command us to look for a date. Jesus commands us to look for him. Those are two different things. Looking for Christ and looking for date are not the same thing. They're two different things. So don't twist scripture to make that fit. I want to make sure that we have that clear and we put that forward. We are looking for Christ. We are not looking for a date. And of course, with that, we understand that there are no signs for the rapture itself. Now, we're going to see foreshadows and stepping stones to things that will eventually lead to prophetic events that will happen when we're gone, which tells us that we're getting closer. How close? We don't know. But still, those are important things that we have to remember. And with that, with the aftermath of that whole situation that happened, there was some stuff that I noticed on my own. There was some stuff that was sent to me from some of you guys. And it's been an interesting thing to pay attention to what's going on with the aftermath of the situation. There's been some that have doubled down on all of this, saying wrong calendar, or saying that, we didn't say that we were looking for a specific date, even though they're going to continue to look at dates and so on and so forth. There's some at like the Uptime channel that are doubling down on this stuff. Bubba News is doubling down on this stuff. There's some of them that are doing the pilot thing where they go, we're going to watch for dates, but then we're going to say that we weren't watching for dates, like Tyler and Barry Scarborough and all those guys that do those things or whatever. I've talked about them before. But there's two particular things in this aftermath that I want to point out. And one of them we need to give credit where credit is due. We do. I know I get the moniker of villain and bad guy thrown on me because I'm so negative about things, and there's a lot of negative things happening, and I want to make sure that I'm not sugarcoating or beating around the bush. But when credit is due, I will give credit where it's deserved. And one of the main guys, and he was one of the main guys who was pushing this 9/23 date and the Joshua false prophet, which he's an absolute false prophet. Hope people recognize that's the Bible that declares him so. He's been pushing that stuff and going up with all this stuff. Was a guy by the name of Medic for Christ. And I called him out last time. Just made mention of him. I don't know much about this guy, but I do know what he was doing with all this situation. However, I want to commend him on this because afterwards, even though what he did was still incorrect, afterwards, he removed all the videos from his channel except for one, which is the presentation of the gospel, and posted this video here, which is about, 12 minutes, 11 minutes? This is his last call. And he came out in this video and he sincerely, and I could tell, sincerely apologized, repented for what he did, withdrew all of the things that he presented and said they were false and he was mistaken. And he came out and he said that he has disqualified himself from teaching, and he has put himself in a position where any words that he says from here on out are to be questioned. And this is biblical. This is biblical because when you make things like this and it doesn't come to pass, you put yourself in this position. But he came out and with a repentant, sincere heart, he apologized, withdrew from his public ministry and said he's just going to continue to go and learn in quiet. And he did the appropriate thing. And so I commend this dude for doing that. I do. I absolutely do. And I appreciate that he did it. And I want to ask you guys to pray for him. Whether you want to just pray in private or you want to go send him a note on this video for stepping up to the plate when it was his time to do so. But pray for him that he continues to go down the right path on this and hold to what he said. And so I want to commend him on that. And I think it's important that we do that. When somebody makes a mistake and then realizes his mistake and goes in and does the biblical correction that is required to do it. And so we should support and pray and commend those who do that. So shout out to Medic for Christ. I don't know you. I don't know you very much, but I appreciate that you took responsibility for what you did. So I do just want to put that out there on that. Now on the other side, and of course, here we go with the negative stuff again. But I specifically want to call this one out because this doesn't have to do with just a double down. This has to do with going in a very, very dangerous and entirely unbiblical direction. And I know there's a few of you that watch me that also watch these people as well. I just want to give you a warning about them. And that's the Live by Faith Ministries. He also has another thing, the Matt Shepherd for King or for the King or whatever thing. I have to call these people out because of the last two videos that they put out in regards to this. First of all, I wrote this down because I want to make sure that I point this out correctly and all this stuff. The first thing that I want to point out is I think is his wife, Alina, I don't know how to pronounce her name, came out and put out this video called Stay Encouraged, You Did Hear from the Lord. And she specifically this is in the first 2 minutes, and then she continues on even after that. She put out a video that said, if you received confirmations about the rapture is going to happen on 9/23, and you received revelation from God. I don't think she used the word revelation, but she said if you receive confirmations and things that only God could give you surrounding that date, even though the date didn't happen like your confirmations from God said, it was still God. She is calling God a liar. She is claiming that all the confirmations through visions, dreams, or however it is, the Holy Spirit speaking to you about the rapture happening on 9/23, even though it didn't happen, it was still from God. It was still the Holy Spirit. You can go and watch that video. It's on the channel. It's in the first 2 minutes. By saying that, you are declaring that God is a liar. That God told you something was going to happen on this date, and because it didn't come to pass, that he was wrong. That is heretical. Absolutely heretical. That goes against God's character. That goes against the word's teaching. That goes against everything that the Holy Spirit directs us in. And it's completely false. It is heretical. And that's what she was putting out there. I got a couple of these verses. We know these verses. 1 John 4 says, "Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God." You have to test the spirits. And if you're being told something that you think is from God and it turns out to be false, that is not from God. That's either something that your imagination has held on to that you have pushed up as something from God, or it's a different spirit entirely that's giving you something. And so that is completely incorrect. Then there's this one. This is Deuteronomy 18. It says, "And the Lord said to me, what have they spoken? What they have spoken is good. I will raise them up raise them up for a prophet like you from among their brethren. I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. And it shall be that whoever will not hear my words, which he speaks in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, how shall we know the word which the Lord has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the thing does not happen or come to pass, that is the thing which the Lord has not spoken." That's for people like Joshua, who came out and declared this thing publicly about it, who has pushed himself as a false prophet. And that's also for those who claim that they're getting something from the Lord, whether it's a vision, dream, confirmation, however they word it, that they believe is from God, and the thing does not come to pass. It is not from God. So that teaching is directly against the word of God, directly against God's character. And so no, if you claim to receive some type of confirmation or vision or revelation or dream or whatever from God about 9/23 and it did not happen, that is not from God. That is unbelievable that that's being pushed. Then there was there's the video that Keep Your Heads Up. I believe that's what it's called. This was he says apology video, which I'm just going to go off of how I took it. And the tone was a very sarcastic tone. And between his apologies and saying that he won't do things and certain things like that anymore, he happened to, every chance he could, throw more discourse at those who are mocking and scoffing and stuff like that, which they take that out of context because they think the ones who are pointing out the error of date setting are mocking and scoffing the rapture, which is entirely incorrect. We're not mocking and scoffing the rapture. We're pointing out error. And so unlike Medic for Christ, who I could see the sincerity and the genuineness that he put in there, is a very inauthentic apology video, in my opinion. And then the next video he put out was the UK digital ID, where he mentioned the UK digital ID thing, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But then through all of that, he had to go into numbers and astrology and apply it to the Bible, which he has to do with which has to do with mysticism and Gnosticism, mystery religion elements of astrology, and saying that this astrological sign means the scales and our hearts are on the scales, which he used that as an opportunity to even attack those who were pointing out error again. It's just all inauthentic and not genuine with what's going on, and it's just. I just have to point this out. I do, because especially that video about if you heard a confirmation from God about the rapture on 9/23 and it didn't come to pass, it was still from God. That's just heresy. That's completely incorrect. And so I definitely had to point that out. He's somebody that also, again, he's big on numerology and numbers and all that type of stuff anyways. And that's why I never got involved with it. And unfortunately, there's people like JB Hickson at Not By Works Ministry that platform the guy all the time, which only combines JB Hickson's viewers over to there, which then gets them involved with whatever he's peddling. And that's why we don't get involved with this stuff. That's why we don't endorse these people. And I had to point it out. There's exact polar opposites of the two of them. So again, I don't want to put too much praise out there, but I do. I have to commend Medic for Christ for his response and all of this. And I pray that he sticks to what the Bible says and he continues to learn in private and then continues to go on in that direction. So shout out to him. So I had to put it out there. Of course, I noticed that I lost a whole bunch of people because I know a lot of you still watch them. So, but hey, I'm not here to coddle. That's a big thing that I want to make sure that I put forward. The reason why this church is dead now is because when people say love and grace, they what they actually mean is tolerance and don't stir the pot, don't offend anybody. The words love and grace mean you can't have love without truth, right? You can't have love without truth. You can't have truth without love. That's how it works. If there's no truth and love, you don't have love. You have tolerance at that point. And that's what we have now. All these people who date cited, who got it wrong, that are saying, oh, you shouldn't be pointing us out because we need to have love and grace with our brothers and sisters and so on. I agree. Love and grace comes with hard love, which means you messed up. You're in error. You need to do what the Bible says. I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to coddle your error. I'm going to point it out. We need to do that. We need to be held accountable for these things. So when you say love and grace, what you mean is tolerance and don't offend me. No, I'm going to go with what the Bible says. Now, I don't get everything right. I don't get everything right at all. But I get held accountable. There's things that I get held accountable on the back end of stuff. I have people behind me that make sure that they're not yes men. I'll just tell you that much. They're not yes men. They hold me accountable on things to make sure that I'm sticking in the lane that I'm supposed to be sticking in. And unfortunately, I don't think we have much of that anymore. So just want to make sure that I point that out as well. And just a couple of other things that why we do not date set is because it brings a mockery to our faith. And I've gone over this before. Here's just a couple of things that I've seen roving around the internet that I want to point out because we're a laughingstock. All of those who have faith in Jesus Christ have become a laughingstock because of the date setting debacle. So this was put out. Pam Bondi confirms Epstein files raptured. Files with Jesus now. It's not funny. This is the mocking and scoffing, not the ones pointing out the error. No, this is the mocking and scoffing that come from those who falsely date set. There's this one. This is just a random sports podcast This got sent to me. It's somebody put in a comment, and you can see it on the screen. It says the real reason Russell Wilson isn't starting is because he got raptured yesterday. This was from a show that happened on 9/24, making a joke about the rapture. There's this one. Some dude actually made a whole 2-minute sketch comedy on here. He's got 539 subscribers on his channel. It says going back to work after the rapture didn't happen. And it's all about him who at the workplace was talking about how the rapture is going to happen on 9/23, and he walked in on 9/24 and had to apologize to everybody and all that type of stuff. This is the mockery. This is the mockery. Because people decided to date set and blast it publicly, making us all look like fools. There's a bunch of them. I just picked out 3. I've come across a bunch. This is why we don't do that. And for those who continue to double down, I don't even know at this point. I just don't even know at this point. But yeah, I just wanted to go over that on that, since it's, well, apparently to them, we still have an open window, but it needs to stop. It needs to stop. All right. Let's go ahead and move into what we got going on with the news. And so continuing on with the combining of paid political propagandists, Christian nationalism, and false mystic Christianity, we have this. This was on September 26th. It says, Roseanne Barr and Jonathan Cahn exposed the hidden spiritual battle shaping America. So Mr. Con Man, Jonathan Cahn, went on to Roseanne Barr's podcast, which is a Trump administration paid podcast that is endorsed by Rumble, which of course is also funded by Peter Thiel, JD Vance, and the Trump administration as well. So it's all wrapped up into that. And he appeared on her podcast. And it says, in a powerful and dynamic discussion, Jonathan Cahn joined Roseanne Barr to explore how biblical prophecies are unfolding in modern-day America. From the Clintons representing Ahab and Jezebel to Donald Trump's rise as a modern-day Jehu, the two examined how current leaders are acting as avatars for their ancient entities, shaping both the spiritual and political trajectory of the nation. Their conversation wove history, prophecy, and cultural commentary into a compelling portrait of America's present moment. He says, Jehu is the mystery of Donald Trump. Khan observes, leaning into the biblical parallel, Jehu's agenda was to go into the capital city and drain the swamp. He explained, highlighting how Trump's rise mirrors an ancient prophetic pattern of judgment, cleansing, and political upheaval. Oh, judgment and upheaval, absolutely. Just not in the way that they're portraying it to be. That's the total Bible manifesting, Khan continues, pointing to the downfall of Jezebel and the rise of Jehu as a symbolic framework for the contemporary events. Khan also compared King Jehoram's weak and indecisive reign to the leadership challenges faced by Joe Biden, noting how each struggled with national crises from border security to internal corruption. He pointed out that even subtle patterns in Scripture often align with today's political narratives. Of course, buy the book. Don't buy the book. Just don't. And then he goes over Kamala Harris and that stuff. And then Barr says it's a fight of principalities, reflecting on the unseen spiritual battle she believes underlying political events. The discussion took a darker turn as Khan described how the website Jezebel allegedly paid witches to curse Charlie Kirk shortly after or before his death. He noted that the town Orem, where Kirk died, literally translates to dragon or serpent, while Kirk's name means church. Khan drawn a chilling parallel to ancient Jezebel, who hunted down the righteous people and killed them, emphasizing that spiritual forces are active in modern events, and so on and so forth. But the thing that I want to point out on this, it says the two also discussed the upcoming release of The Dragon's Prophecy, a powerful new movie by Dinesh D'Souza, which, if you guys know Dinesh D'Souza, he is a he's a propagandist who makes films to promote Republican, MAGA, and Trump. I mean, the dude is a straight propagandist. You can go and watch some of his stuff. I don't recommend it, but if you do, you can watch his stuff and you can easily discredit half of it. But Dinesh D'Souza is all endorsed by the Prophecy Mafia and all that stuff. They love the guy and everything. But of course, because they're all a megaphone for Trump and everything like that as well. So it just goes to show that this combining, and I really want to make sure that we emphasize this, the combining of the political movement and this false mystic American Christianity coming together to form this Christian nationalist movement, which is part of the mystery religion. And this is what it is, this uprising that's happening right now, this declaration of Kirk martyrdom, raising him up as I've heard him raised up as Stephen, and I've heard him raised up as Joseph, and I've heard him raised up at all these things. And I'm sitting there going, you don't know a thing that's going on. You know, I don't claim to know the dude's heart. I don't claim to know everything about his life, but I've done enough looking into his past history to go, there's something seriously wrong with this. But it's that movement, it's that outward display, like politics themselves, that the church gets wrapped up in, and so they just go with the flow. And it's heartbreaking and disappointing to see so many believers, those who call themselves Christians, pastors, even pastors that I endorse for their biblical teaching alone. I just want to make sure that I put that forward. For their biblical teaching alone, that are falling for this deception. And it's hard for me to watch. It's one of the hardest things that I deal with day in and day out when I'm doing this, is seeing believers, some that I know, some just the church on its own, falling into this stuff, and there's not a thing that I can do about it. I think that's the hardest thing for me. That's the hardest thing for me. Just pray for these people. Just pray for these people. That's all I can say on that. All right. Moving on. We got a lot of stuff to get to. I spent a little bit more time on that first part than I wanted to, but had to do it. All right. Just a couple of these things we're going to go through rather quick. We don't need to spend a lot of time. Just stuff I want to let you know. So we got this. It says starting October 1st. This was put out on September 25th. It says starting October 1st, 2025, we will be imposing a 100% tariff on any branded or patented pharmaceutical product unless a company is building the pharmaceutical manufacturing plant in America. Is building will be defined as breaking ground and or under construction. There will therefore be no tariff on these pharmaceutical products if construction has started. Thank you for your attention in this matter. So this is a case of you're probably going to start seeing medications start going up. I know I'm one of those people where I don't take medication unless I have like a headache, like a severe headache. I take something like Excedrin or whatever. But I know there's some people that they have to have medicine because of health reasons, and it keeps them alive, basically. There's a chance that it's going to skyrocket because of these tariffs. Your insurance is probably not going to cover it. That's not saying that it will not like 100% cover it, but I'm just saying there's a chance that this may not fly that way. So if you're on medication or you require medication of some type, there's a chance that it's going to go up. I don't know about you guys, but some of the best and cheapest medication you can get from like India, for all the problems that they have when it comes to their health stuff, they've got it on lock when it comes to their medicine and stuff. And I'd get as much of that as you can before stuff starts going down. I'll tell you that much. But so just the warning for those who are on medication, who need that stuff, just heads up. And then we have this is just ridiculous. It says we'll be imposing a 50% tariff on all kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and associated products starting October 1st, 2025. Additionally, we will be charging a 30% tariff on upholstered furniture. The reason for this is large-scale flooding of these products in the United States by outside countries. If it's either it is a very unfair practice, but we must protect, for national security and other reasons, our manufacturing process. So, in case you guys didn't know, kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and upholstered furniture is now a national security threat. And so we must apply a 50% tariff and a 30% tariff on these select things. This is the dumbest thing that I have ever heard. I managed to come across this, which I think is hilarious. It says, I do not know with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with kitchen cabinets and bathroom vanities. Almost Albert Einstein. So, I mean, it pretty much works on that. So, just wanted to put that out there and show you how just absurd and ridiculous this stuff is getting. The main point, though, is for those with pharmaceutical stuff, I'd be trying to find out as much information about that as possible, just in case. Sheesh, I was planning on using my Ottoman. I'm surprised Ottoman hasn't been deemed a terrorist organization yet, because, you know, Ottoman Empire, it's obviously a national security threat that we have Ottomans here in the United States. So maybe we should have ICE start coming up and wrangling up everybody's Ottomans because of their connection to the Ottoman Empire. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So I better be careful, because that does sound like something Trump would actually do. Anyways. All right, let's go ahead and keep moving on. Spend enough time on that ridiculousness. All right, so we got this as well. White House threatens mass firings as government shutdown looms. So I got to point this one out. This is great. As per Neardo Andrew is like, what about Persian rugs? Oh man, that's great stuff. That was good. Man, we got to be careful. We're giving them ideas, guys. We are giving them ideas. We got to be careful about these things. Oh my goodness. Okay, so White House threatens mass firings as government shutdown looms. So when it comes to this, it seems like every time that they have to come to a budget agreement, it always goes to the last minute, or government shuts down for a week and then they get it done, and so on and so forth. So that's not as much what I want to pay attention to when it comes to the government shutdown. What I do want to pay attention to is the mass firing situation, because there's a chance that even if the government doesn't shut down, there's going to be a mass firing all across the government, which is interesting because they just went and hired back all those people that Doge supposedly fired, but the government went and hired them all back anyways. But what makes this different is usually when the government shuts down, there's a temporary furlough for workers during that period, and then they bring them all back. This would be different in the way that if the government shuts down, there would not be a furlough. If I can speak English properly, there will not be a furlough, and they'll just outright fire them. It says the White House raised the stakes in a clash over a possible U.S. government shutdown Thursday, telling federal agencies to prepare for more mass firings by Trump's administration. The memo by the White House Office of Management and Budget warned that the Republican administration would go beyond the usual practice of temporary furloughs during previous shutdowns. Trump is in the 10th showdown with congressional Democrats over federal funding ahead of a fiscal deadline of midnight on September 30th, which would trigger a fresh political crisis in Washington. The White House memo obtained by AFP said that agencies are directed to use this opportunity to consider reduction in force notices for all the employees in the government, barring the brunt of a shutdown. It ordered agencies to submit their proposed staff reduction plans and inform employees. So there's that. There's also the other aspect that, again, I'm not saying any of this is going to happen or predicting anything. I just want to give you guys some possibilities, just so, again, we're not caught off guard. There's also the possibility that if the government does shut down, with everything that's going on with possible with wars, rumors of wars, stuff like that, and then everything going on in the United States with the fascist takeover that is happening, with the deployment of military and ICE agents all over the United States and everything that they're doing, that they may take that opportunity of a government shutdown, if one is scheduled. Make sure we are on the same page there. If a government shutdown is scheduled, there is a chance that they may use that opportunity to try and sneak even more of this authoritarian stuff through. Now, I don't have all the details of how that works. I'm just saying there is an opportunity that presents itself if that does happen. So that's something to keep in mind. Again, if this was just any old time and there's the government shutdown, I probably wouldn't even bring it up. But because of the situation at hand with the firings and the authoritarianism, it's worth mentioning that this shutdown may lead to something else. It may. I just want to give you the possibility of that. That's also a possibility, Patrick. Just waiting for a shutdown that lasts months. It's something to think about. Okay. So we got this as well. This came out. This is at the request of Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem. I am directing Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I am also authorizing full force. Read that again. I am also authorizing full force if necessary. What does that mean? What does full force mean? I'm not sure. But this came out of the blue and, according to some reports, was completely something that they weren't aware of at this time. It says Trump directs Defense Secretary to deploy troops to Portland. In a post on Truth Social, the president said he was authorizing the use of full force to protect ICE facilities in Portland, Oregon, if necessary. Well, it doesn't necessarily say protect ICE facilities. It says go to war with Antifa. Now, we know Antifa is a major problem. I am not in any way protecting Antifa on that one. But those are still U.S. citizens. And so this would be full force. And he said war on U.S. citizens. So, again, I don't necessarily have an answer on this one. But this is pretty interesting. And again, possibility of a government shutdown in here in a couple days. Never know what this might lead to. Also, I've already seen pictures and videos roll in from people in Portland that armored vehicles are already roaming the streets of Portland as we speak right now. So they're already out there. It says President Donald Trump said Saturday that he was directing Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth to provide all necessary troops to Portland, Oregon. In a post on Truth Social, the president wrote that the troops would protect war-ravaged Portland and protect immigration and custom enforcement facilities that claimed under siege by attack of Antifa and other domestic terrorists. Trump added that he is authorizing full force if necessary, but didn't clarify what that meant. Spokesperson for the White House said he did not immediately respond to clarifying questions about which branch of the military would be deploying to Portland. That's comforting. The president has repeatedly spoken negatively about Portland, including saying on Thursday that anarchy is taking place in the West Coast city. As we know, Portland is one of the armpits of the United States, so that's not surprising. There was one thing that I want to point out. Yeah, here. Pentagon officials appeared to be surprised by the Truth Social post and told NBC News that they were not aware of any new orders to send troops into Portland. The officials said that they had no immediate information about any potential operation, including the size and scope of the mission or who National Guard or active duty forces would be deployed. I just have to say it. If you're somebody who is supporting what is going on with this, I don't trust you. I just don't. Yes, Antifa is a problem. Yes, Portland is an armpit city in the United States. But you can't just go around deploying the military and mercenary thugs to go do. It's just, this is not how it works, man. This is just not how it works. I always like the quote, because it's so truthful on so many points. It's from the movie Shooter, and it says, what is it? This isn't the Wild West. You can't go around cleaning up the streets with a gun, even if that's exactly what it needs. And it's a truthful quote because it goes to show how even if there's an option for this, it's not an option because of how things are in this country. And it just, there's a lot of depth to it. I like depth when it comes to quotes and stuff like that. But yeah, so they've already got the armored cars rolling around in Portland and everything like that. So we were hearing that it was going to be, was it New Orleans was one of them? There's another, Memphis. They got Memphis in action now. Now we got Portland. This one came out of nowhere. What's next? What's next? That I don't know. But then we have this as well. Yeah, this is good. There was a time where we could have dealt with it properly, but that time is long gone. And that's something to really keep in mind. Point this out real quick. Art Darnell says War Secretary. That has not passed Congress. So while they say that he's the War Secretary and it's the Department of War, it's not actually official. That's just what they did. It's still the Department of Defense and he is still the Defense Secretary. It has to legally go through Congress and it has not. So he's not the War Secretary. He is the Defense Secretary. I just want to make sure we clarify that. Just because they changed the name of something doesn't mean that it's actually legal. Like the Gulf of America still isn't legal. It's still not legal. But yeah, it says there was a time where we could have dealt with it properly, but that time is long gone. And this is the part of the orchestration that I hope that we're witnessing is, or that we're at least seeing, is because it's the case of when you create so much chaos and you allow, you create these pockets of chaos, which they have done. It's built this way so so when the pendulum swings back to the other side like it is now, the only other option is to do the fascist authoritarianism situation and to do this. And so this is what they have to do. And if they would have, well, again, that goes with the case of we have scripts and theater to go by, but that doesn't matter anymore. But if this was like a real world and these were real events that were actually happening, not scripted, you could have taken care of this problem constitutionally a long time ago, but we're past that. We're way past that. So, so let's talk about this as well. This was the quote unquote attack on the ICE facility in Dallas, which this is just a giant joke as well. If you use any ounce of critical thinking. This was posted by Kash Patel, who is a puppet in his own right, immediately following the thing. And first of all, you don't do this. You don't take a picture of quote unquote evidence on the same day that it happens and post it on your thing. You just don't do that. Anyways, that's beside the point. It says this morning before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others. He doesn't put in there that it was detainees that were shot, not actually ICE agents. So, of course, he likes to leave out that little bit of information. Before taking his own life, FBI, DHS, ATF are on the ground with Dallas PD and state authorities. And it says this is what they found, evidence that they found of ammunition. Okay, first of all, this is a 5-round stripper clip. If anybody knows firearms, it's a 5-round stripper clip. I have ammo boxes full of those things. I should have got one out so I can use it as a prop here. But they said that this is, and written on it in pen, like a Bic pen, says anti-ice on one of the rounds. Okay, so first of all, that stripper clip goes into a bolt action rifle. And then it has, in ballpoint pen, a Bic pen, anti-ice. If this was somebody who was actually doing this, even if they are using 5-round bolt action, whatever, it's not going to say anti-ice on there. It's going to, like, expletive ice and stuff, because that's how it actually happens. So this is just garbage. And they say that it was an attack on ICE agents and stuff like that. But why was the dude shooting 3 detainees? Why was he shooting the immigrants and not actually the ICE agents themselves? This is just, if you can't see through this, I don't know what to tell you. This is just pure theater. This is absolutely pure theater at this point. And I would say that most of the people believe what this is. They'll believe the regular story. I go, yeah. There's a guy who shot. He was trying to attack the ICE agents, we should make sure that we do things. And so, following that, we have the situation in Portland. This is just, I don't know. It's getting to a point where they truly think that we're that stupid. This is some Oscar Mayer stuff if I've ever seen it before. I'll tell you that much. This is just some Oscar Mayer stuff. All right, sticking with this theme of military action and whatnot. We got this. So, new details emerge on Hegseth's unusual mass gathering of top brass. So there's a random situation. Oh, I see that we got a... Just ban that dude. If you have to delete 2 of his things, like, just ban him. Anyways. So we had a report come out that said that Hegseth was calling a meeting, I think it's Tuesday of next week, I believe it's Tuesday, of calling in all 1-star generals and superior officials into Virginia for a little powwow, what they're deeming as a short lecture on warrior ethos. I think that's the word that they used. I wanted to use the word that they use because they can't just say what it's supposed to be said. And so this is about 800 generals, 800 military personnel from all around the world that have to drop everything, find transportation, find lodging in the middle of everything to come and listen to Pete Hegseth talk about a warrior mindset. Freeze on me? What is going on with this thing? This is doing. There we go. Sorry, my computer's being weird. And so this is a weird situation. We'll just read a little bit before I start talking about stuff. It says Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered hundreds of generals to travel from around the world to hear him make a short speech on military standards and the warrior ethos. Multiple people familiar with the event told the Post. Hegseth's order, which were sent earlier this week to senior generals and admirals worldwide, require anyone in a command position with the rank of 1-star general or rear admiral and above, as well as their senior enlisted leaders, to be at Marine Corps University at Quantico, Virginia on Tuesday. Exceptions will be granted on a rare basis with approval from top military officials. The people familiar with the matter said, speaking on the condition of being anonymous to discuss sensitive planning. It's meant to be an eyeball-to-eyeball kind of conversation, one person familiar with the ongoing discussion said. He wants to see the generals. The orders, first reported by the Post on Thursday, were delivered without any stated reason, sending staff, many of whom will be coming in from commands that are focused on the world's global conflicts, scrambling to make travel arrangements. The directive comes in the wake of Hegseth's firing of numerous senior military officials without cause, upending military norms and creating a culture of fear in the Pentagon, people familiar with the matter said. So, just a couple of things. Okay, so first of all, you're going to be calling in all of these generals who have decades of experience and training ahead of Pete Hegseth to come in and listen to Pete Hegseth lecture them on how to properly command the military and to have the proper warrior mindset. That doesn't make any sense. Add this onto the fact, and we've covered this stuff last Tuesday. On Tuesday, today's Saturday, right? Yeah, on Tuesday. That first of all, he already put a restriction on journalists in the Pentagon. So there's now a restriction on information coming out of the Pentagon on anything involving this. So we don't know what's going on with that. Then we know there's the situation of the whole NATO, Ukraine, Russia, all that stuff. We've got the Venezuela situation where they're wanting to go into a strike into Venezuela. We'll get to that in a second. And then we have the issue with Israel and Gaza, and the situation that came out where Trump wants to take the Afghanistan airbase back. So we have all this stuff happening, escalation happening all over. Meanwhile, restriction on journalism coming out of the Pentagon, and now he's calling in all of these generals from across the world into a lecture. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying that this is some rah-rah, powwow, school assembly meeting that they're making it out to be. I'm not buying it. Now, I don't necessarily know what it's going to be, but I'm just not buying the narrative that they're putting out. I'm just not. It says the Pentagon has declined to clarify the purpose or detail of the agenda of the meeting and did not immediately respond to questions on the nature of Hegseth's speech. Sean Parnell, a spokesman, affirmed in a statement that Hegseth will be addressing his senior military leaders early next week. Some Pentagon officials questioned the wisdom of launching a relatively large gathering on short notice to hear Hegseth speak for a matter of minutes, and bristled at the idea that long-serving military leaders, a segment of whom spent years in combat earlier in their careers, needed instruction on how to fight. Yeah, worth noting that Hegseth was a officer in the National Guard, by the way. Now, I'm not putting down National Guard, but there's a difference between National Guard and what a lot of these generals have seen in their lifetime. Just saying. Hegseth appeared to address concerns about the meeting for the first time Friday morning, using his personal social media account after retired senior officer Lieutenant General Ben Hodges tweeted that German generals were called to a surprise assembly in Berlin in 1935 and required to swear a personal oath to the Führer. The defense secretary responded with sarcasm, saying, "Cool story, General." Now that is interesting. That's an interesting one. Let me see here. Government shuts down Tuesday, and it's believed that if they don't get a deal done, the government would shut down Tuesday night. And it's believed that this meeting is to take place on Tuesday as well. So I'm just throwing out things that it could be. Again, I don't know, but that is pretty interesting that all of a sudden, back in 1935, especially if we listen to Stephen Miller at the Kirk MAGA rally that just took place in Arizona, where he was quoting the Nazi Goebbels about the storm is coming and about warrior mentalities and basically word for word and sentiment on that thing. So a lot of interesting things there. It says warrior ethos across the services can have different meanings, but in general, it refers to professional dedication to fighting and winning wars. It is a regular focus of Hegseth, the former National Guard infantry officer, who has also rhetorically championed to a return to lethality. Critics have argued that his policies have not often seemed aligned with lethality. Core initiatives have included removing transgender service members, ordering new shaving standards military-wide, and rebranding the Department of Defense as the Department of War, complete with new seals and signage marking the entrance to his offices and the Pentagon, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot to this. We don't really need to get into it. You guys can go read it more if you want to. I think this is a case that we're just going to have to watch and wait and watch, however you want to say it. I don't know. There's just too much happening all at the same time for this to just be a random lecture on short notice, pulling all these generals in. So, take it with how you would like. Take a look at what's going on. Critical think. See if maybe you have an idea that maybe you find something that I haven't found, and you have an idea that I haven't come up with, and we'll go from there. But I think it's just going to be a watch and wait and see what happens on Tuesday. If anything comes out, again, they've got the lockdown now on journalists in that department of things. So I'm not exactly sure what it would be. I am curious, though. A lot of interesting moves happening. Sticking with it, if we head over to what's going on with the Venezuela situation, we got the U.S. preparing options for military strikes on drug targets inside Venezuela. Trump has not approved any action yet, and the U.S. and Venezuela are talking through Middle Eastern intermediaries, sources told NBC News. So, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how this was an option put on the table. It was just a rumor at the time. There wasn't anything that said that it was valid or legitimate or immediate, but there's a rumor going around that said there's a possibility that the United States might strike in Venezuela sometime in September. And while we're at the tail end of September here, it looks like that they are preparing to do a strike in Venezuela. It says U.S. military officials are drawing up options to target drug traffickers inside Venezuela. Strikes within the country's borders could potentially begin in a matter of weeks, 4 sources told NBC News. Those sources are 2 U.S. officials familiar with the planning and 2 other sources familiar with the discussions. They spoke on the condition of being anonymous because they were not authorized to discuss the plans publicly. Something did come out from Maduro that confirmed that they are talking about this with the United States. So there does seem to be validity to all of this. It says striking inside Venezuela would be another escalation in the Trump administration's military campaign against alleged drug targets and its stance towards Venezuela's government. In recent weeks, the U.S. military struck at least 3 boats from Venezuela allegedly carrying narco traffickers and drugs that could threaten Americans. Trump said on Truth Social, the administration has not provided evidence that drugs were on all of those boats, but an official in the Dominican Republic, alongside one from the U.S. Embassy there, did say at a press conference Sunday that drugs were found in the water after one strike. So basically, just believe me, bro. Just believe me. Says strikes inside Venezuela could happen in the next several weeks, but the president has not approved anything yet, the 4 people said. 2 of them, with an additional official familiar with the discussion, said that the United States' recent military escalation is a part of a result of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro not doing enough, in the administration's view, to stop the flow of illegal drugs out of the country. The plans being discussed primarily focus on drone strikes against drug trafficking group members and leadership, as well as targeting drug labs, the 4 sources said. I just see an opportunity for a lot of things to go wrong on this. I know that there's been some theories going around. There's one that this has to do with obtaining Venezuela's oil. So this is like a pressure situation to obtain their oil. I don't necessarily see that as the case. As we know, oil is usually involved with every war of every type. Because, energy and the bankers' wars, they like to get the oil and stuff like that. I don't necessarily see that being an option on this one. There's another theory going around about how this would be for taking land for the Technocracy Inc., and so on and so forth. Venezuela is just a small portion of what they would need to take to make that happen. It would be kind of weird to all of a sudden just start striking Venezuela in that case. Especially since we don't even have anything done with like Greenland or Canada or even Mexico or any of those things. So I don't necessarily see that being an option as well. And there's various maps of what the technique would look like. Some of them don't even have South America involved with our district that is outlined on that map either. So I don't necessarily see that being an option either. So I'm not sure. But this is a case that I am watching because this is fascinating to me, this Venezuela situation on this. So grab some water real quick. All right. So yeah, just keep an eye on this situation because it seems to be progressing. All right, so we got this as well. This is kind of fascinating. This is Turkey signs nuclear deal with U.S. during Trump-Erdogan meeting. This was September 25th. It says Turkey signed a strategic nuclear deal with the U.S. during President Erdogan visit to the White House on September 25. I'll be honest, with everything going on, I didn't even know that he was here. What does that say about me? I should know that, but I didn't even know that he was here, so that kind of caught me off guard on that one. It says Turkish energy minister, Arslan Bayraktar. We're just going to call him Alp. How about that? Alp wrote on X, we have started a new process that will further deepen the deep-rooted and multi-dimensional partnership between Turkey and the United States in the field of nuclear energy. With U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in the presence of the leaders after the meeting, we signed the Memorandum of Understanding on Strategic Civil Nuclear Cooperation. The agreement followed another large-scale energy deal concluded by Turkey during the U.S. visit, which state-run BOTES signed contracts for a combined 75.8 billion cubic meters of liquefied natural gas imports with Swiss-based Mercuria and Australia's Woodside Energy. Although the Energy Ministry did not provide any further details on the nature of the deal signed, both countries were holding talks on the construction of large-scale nuclear power plants, small modular reactors, and so on and so forth. There was one thing that I wanted to point out. Where is it? I think it's right here. It says the latest understanding with the United States builds on Turkey's broader strategy to expand its nuclear capacity as part of its efforts to diversify energy supply, reducing reliance on imported natural gas, and meeting growing electricity demands. And yeah, right here, the country's first nuclear power project, the Akuyu nuclear power plant in southern Mersin province, is being built by Russia's state-owned Rosatom. The $20 billion facility, consisting of 4 reactors with a total capacity of 4,800 megawatts, is expected to begin operations in stages, with the first unit scheduled to be operational by 2026. So, why I think this is interesting is we know Turkey hates Israel and is usually in disagreement with the United States. And the United States is, as of right now, is an ally of Israel and supporting them in crazy ways. We'll just say that. So we have that, which is weird, conflict going on. Then we have the issue of Turkey is a part of NATO, and NATO is against Russia and might just be going to war with Russia because of the Ukraine situation. But yet Russia's state-owned company is building a nuclear reactor in Turkey. And then the United States is a part of NATO, and they would be going to war with Russia. Do you see a whole lot of conflict going on that doesn't make much sense in this situation? So I just want to point out that there's some fascinating deals being made between countries that appear to be on different sides of the fence that we know eventually, when scripture happens, those fences are going to get knocked down in certain situations, and things aren't going to go how they currently sit in this moment in time. But this is fascinating to watch these deals being made, especially on the possibility of this NATO-Russia war, and Turkey's caught in the middle of it because they're connected to NATO, but yet they're more allies with Russia than anything. So pretty interesting to see the theater of geopolitical moves like that. We'll just say that much. All right. Yeah. Desiree, and who's on third? Good point. Yeah. Who's on first? I don't know who's on third. What? Second base. Anyways, moving on. Still have a couple things to get to here. So I'm sure a lot of you saw this. This was a big bomb that just got dropped over there in the United Kingdom. This is new digital ID scheme to be rolled out across the UK. New digital ID scheme will help combat illegal working while making it easier for the vast majority of people to use vital government services. Digital ID will be mandatory for right-to-work checks by the end of Parliament. Basically, the UK has come out and said digital ID is going to be mandatory if you want to function in society in the United Kingdom. And there's some points that I want to point out on it. I do want to pull this up first. This comes straight from the dude's mouth, Starmer's mouth, and you guys can hear it from him on this one. See here.
Today, I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that. If you want to function in the United Kingdom, you will now be required to have a digital ID. We knew it was coming. First, it's a convenience. It's an offering, it's an option, and then all of a sudden it becomes mandatory. And this is the perfect case for order out of chaos. This is the perfect case for problem, reaction, solution. You allow the illegals to come in, and I remind you that Europe, when it comes to the illegal situation, is worse than we are here in the United States. You allow them to come in. You instead start attacking your own people while allowing the illegals to do everything that they're doing. And your response is to bring in mandatory digital ID as a way to combat the illegal problem that you created. It's perfect. It's right there in front of your face. Again, this is a case of it is so obvious that many people won't even be able to recognize it. Something can be so obvious that it's not obvious anymore, even though this is just purely obvious. So, this is a new digital ID scheme. Will help combat illegal working while making it easier for the vast majority of people to use vital government services. Digital ID will be mandatory for right-to-work checks by the end of Parliament. The scheme will be available to all UK citizens and legal residents, saving time by ending the need for complicated identity checks, which often rely on copies of paper records. Instead, the rollout will in time make it simpler to apply for services like driver's licenses, childcare and welfare, while streamlining access to tax records. The new digital ID will be held on people's phones, just as millions already use the NHS app or contactless mobile payments. There's a lot more to this that we're not going to go over tonight. First of all, we don't have time. Second of all, I want a little bit more time to look into it because there's a lot to it. So hopefully I'll have that ready by Tuesday and we can kind of delve a little bit more into this itself, like some of the cogs that are making it move. But we won't get into it tonight, but I do want to make sure you guys are aware of this because there's a lot going on behind the scenes with this as well. It says there will be no requirement for individuals to carry their ID or to be asked to produce it, but digital ID will be mandatory as a means of proving your right to work. This will stop those with no right to be here from being able to find work, curbing their prospect of earning money, one of the key pull factors for people who come to the UK illegally. Here's an idea. When you see the illegal, which the streets are just swarming with them right now, why don't you strap some handcuffs on them, throw them on the boat that they came in from, and push it out to sea? There's an idea, but no, what are they going to do? Digital ID for the citizens who live here. Let's do that, shall we? It's stupid. So here's a couple of things regarding this digital ID. Again, this is straight from their website. Says, your free digital ID will be stored securely on your phone and will help to prove your identity, including age and residency status, simplifying access to government services, and a range of uses across the private sector. The private sector, that's key, because as of right now, they're saying, if you want to work, you need this thing. But what they're saying is this is going to expand. They basically, when they made the first announcement, they said, no, this is just if you want to work. But then a couple hours later, seriously, just a couple hours later, they came out and said, this is all of a sudden slowly going to start being made. So if you want to do anything in the UK, you're going to need it. And you can kind of get some of the whiffs of that here. Let's see. Where is it at? I think it's on this next one down here. So it says improve. So what will the digital ID do? Improve access to public services like education and social benefits by making it easier for everyone to quickly and easily prove their identity. It will also be available to use to prove your identity when voting in elections. So now if you want to vote, you need the digital ID. So first it was work. Now we see if you want to vote, you got to do it, which, again, we're not going to get into that. Reduce identity fraud by minimizing personal details you give out and toughen employment checks, including across the gig economy, curbing the prospect for work for illegal migrants. Streamline verification process across private sectors, too, by enabling digital checks and efficient verification when doing things like opening a bank account or proving your age. So work, bank account, age. There's another thing on here that I just can't find. I know it's here. Where did it go? I know it's here. I can't find it. But it talks about for renting as well, buying a home, renting a home, leasing things as well. I can't find it on there. I know it's on there. You guys can go check it out, and it's there. But it talks about if you'll need the digital ID if you want to rent a place to live or if you want to buy a home, and so on and so forth as well. So this thing's going to be tied into work. It's going to be tied into your bank account. It's going to be tied into where you live and what you live in and renting and so on and so forth. And it's going to be tied to your healthcare as well. So you'll need a digital ID to get healthcare in the system as well. So all of these things are attached to this digital ID, and it's mandatory now in the UK. This stuff is it's moving lightning fast. It is accelerating like crazy. And it's mind-blowing to see this stuff all coming to fruition. I'll be honest, I knew that the UK was getting ready to do digital ID and so on and so forth. We saw the biometric stuff now. If you're a United States citizen and you want to travel to Europe, you're going to have to give up your bio data in order to have access to the country and so on and so forth. We knew that was coming. We knew that the digital ID stuff in the United Kingdom was coming as well. I just was not expecting it to be now. I thought maybe early next year it would come, but no, it was now. It's like, oh no, we're announcing it now. So here we go. And so it just, it's just, guys, I got to make sure that I put this forward. I know that we still have a lot of stuff to cover, but I want to make sure that I put this forward. I hope you guys are getting, I hope this is comforting to you guys. And I know that sounds weird if you don't know what I mean by that. I hope this is comforting to you guys, because when I see this stuff and I see how absolutely incredibly fast that this stuff is coming, I mean, the backlog of information and news that I am trying to get out to you guys right now. Again, I still have a stack of stuff that we just haven't had time to get to. I've had it for a week now because it's just, there's so much stuff going on. But when I see this, it's comforting to me because it shows that we're so close. Again, we don't know how close, we don't know how long we have. It could be months, it could be years, we don't know. We just need to make sure that when we see this stuff, though, it's comforting. It's just a reassurance that the Bible is true. Now, again, we're not seeing prophecy happening right now. There's no prophecies technically being fulfilled, but we are seeing the foreshadows and the stepping stones and the acceleration towards that time when that's going to happen. And what are we commanded to do during this time? What are we commanded to do when we see these things happening right now? We keep our heads down and we keep working. We keep doing what we're supposed to be doing. We don't slow down. We don't stop. We don't pull off at a gas station on September 23rd and go, well, we might as well take a break because there's a chance that, we're going to be gone and stuff like that. No, we don't do that. We just keep on the highway and we keep driving. We keep going. When we just continue to run this race till the very end. And so just continue to use this opportunity or use this information as an opportunity to refill your tank with comfort and excitement and just move forward. Just continue to go and do what we need to be doing. So I just want to make sure I encourage you guys with that, especially with all this crazy stuff that's happening right now. Moving over to the United States, hi caramba, we have another country that is going with the digital ID and the biometric stuff for the online situation. It is not just the United Kingdom. It's not just Europe that's implementing this stuff. We've been talking about it for a long time here on this channel. It's amazing. It truly is amazing to see all the prophecy watchers pointing out all the other countries that are doing digital ID, but they're completely ignoring what's going on in our own backyard with all these individual states implementing these things right now. It says Arizona enacts law mandating biometric digital ID age checks on adult sites. But what is an adult site? We'll get to that in just a second because it's pretty broad. Pretty broad to say the least. It says Arizona is set to activate a controversial law that requires adult websites to implement digital ID checks, age checks for users, including biometric verification. Starting this Friday, which was yesterday, any site with more than 1/3 of its content labeled as harmful to minors must restrict access to adults who can verify their age through systems that may involve uploading selfies and matching them to government-issued IDs. Under House Bill 2112, parents gain the power to take legal action against platforms that fail to comply. So again, it's on the companies. They can seek $10,000, so a parent can seek $10,000 in damages for each day a site remains accessible to minors without proper screening. Courts may also issue fines of up to $250,000 if a lack of verification leads to a minor accessing the content. While supporters frame the measure as a necessary step to keep children away from adult material, how about, parents be parents? But I guess that's asking too much. So we got to make sure that we do this. It says the process of submitting personal identification data raises the risk of surveillance, identity theft, and misuse of sensitive information. There was a thing, I don't know where it's at. Again, I can't find what I was looking for. Yeah, right here. I already read it. I just want to make sure that I make this out. Any site with more than 1/3 of its content labeled as harmful. Now, what deems it harmful? What deems it adult? What deems it harmful to minors? What classifies that? Is it bad language? Is it full on, adult stuff? Is it violent stuff? What is it? And we've gone over this. Every time that we talk about this situation, we've gone over this before. What defines as harmful? What defines it as adult? It could be anything from bad language in comments. At this point, 1/3 of social media would be deemed harmful. So does that shut down all social medias? Does that mean you're going to have to require digital ID for social medias like other states are implementing as well? Again, when these things are so broad and stuff like that, when they're the ones that define, it's a moving definition. How many times have they redefined words before? We're at a point now where we don't even know what that actually means. This is just a way for them to have the ability to just manipulate and apply digital ID wherever they see fit accordingly. And of course, this isn't just for minors as well. If you're an adult who wants to go on those websites, you're the one that has to give it over. So it's mass at that point. It's a mass broad sweep in that situation. So, and just rack up another state. I've lost count of how many states it is. I think we're in the teens now of states that are implementing some form of digital ID and biometric age verification for websites. And some of them are more stricter than others, but you have all that plus the COSA bill that they're still trying to pass, which would be all across the country and worse than any of these things as well. Guys, it's coming here in the United States. It is coming. It's going to happen eventually. So don't be surprised if it does. That's all I can say. All right, we're just going to shoot through a couple of these things real quick, and then we got one last big one to talk about. It says Elon Musk's XAI lands U.S. government contract to provide Grok chatbot at 42 cents per agency. Musk and Trump bury the hatchet as Grok joins federal AI lineup. So I guess their little spat is over. Their little marriage spat is all done now. Despite his previous public spat, hey, they use the word spat too, Trump, Elon Musk's XAI has agreed to partner with the U.S. General Services Administration in a deal that allows agencies to buy Grok chatbot models at a cost of 42 cents per organization. That's less than the dollar per year OpenAI charges for access to ChatGPT services. The deal will give federal agencies access to Grok for government based on the Grok 4 and Grok 4 Fast models. It's valid for 18 months until March 2027, making it the longest AI contract signed by the government to date. You guys don't think that this has nothing to do with the implementation of AI that the Doge was doing earlier in the year? They went in. We knew that they were installing new technology, that they were installing this stuff in all the government departments, and you don't have to, you can't tell me that it had nothing to do with this contract that we see now that will allow all these agencies, all these departments of the government to utilize Grok in there. They were getting this stuff set up. It was for Palantir, it was for Grok, it was for all these programs so they can go in and start doing this. It says XAI has the most powerful AI compute and most capable AI models in the world, Musk said in a statement. Thanks to Trump and his administration, XAI Frontier AI is now unlocked for every federal agency, empowering the U.S. government to innovate faster and accomplish its mission more effectively than before. We look forward to continuing to work with President Trump and his team to rapidly deploy AI throughout the government for the benefit of this country. So Grok's plugged in to the government now. That's always fun. Then we got this as well, just to keep you guys updated. OpenAI and NVIDIA's $100 billion with a B billion dollar AI plan will require power equal to 10 nuclear reactors. This is a giant project, NVIDIA CEO said of the new 10 gigawatt, 1.21 gigawatts AI infrastructure deal. Keep in mind, 10 gigawatt AI infrastructure. That is all of New York City. I want to give you guys the thing. This AI infrastructure that they're wanting to build will require the power of an entirely of New York City. This infrastructure will need the power of another New York City. That's what this is. And I just want to point this out because I've been looking into these data centers for a little while. And the increase in electric bills that we've been seeing. I mentioned that last time, where the electric bills are going through the roof. What is it? 30% in 4 years? I think that's what it was. These data centers that they're building in these states, these data centers are getting discounted energy prices, and the energy prices costs are getting passed on to the citizens. That's why the bills are going up. So the data centers are actually paying less for electricity per kilowatt than you are. You're paying for the power that is powering these AI data centers. Some of them I've seen as low as getting a 30% discount. It's incredible what I'm seeing on these things. So if your electric bill is going up, it's because you are paying for a discounted energy price for the AI data centers. And I just wanted to make sure that we all know that. How much is this going to cost people? It says on Monday, OpenAI and NVIDIA jointly announced a letter of intent for a strategic partnership to deploy at least 10 gigawatts of NVIDIA systems for OpenAI's AI infrastructure, with NVIDIA planning to invest up to $100 billion as the system rolls out. The company said that the first gigawatt of NVIDIA systems will come online in the second half of 2026 using NVIDIA's Vera Rubin platform. Everything starts with compute, said Altman, CEO of OpenAI. In the announcement, compute infrastructures will be the basis for the economy of the future. Digital coin. and we will utilize what we're building with NVIDIA to both create new AI breakthroughs and empower people and businesses with them at scale. Says the 10 gigawatt project represents an astoundingly ambitious and as yet unproven scale of AI infrastructure. NVIDIA CEO Jason Huang told CNBC that the planned 10 gigawatt equals the power consumption of between 4 million and 5 million graphic processing units, or like I said, all of New York City, which matches the company's total GPU shipments for this year and doubles last year's volume. This is a giant project, Huang said in an interview alongside Altman and OpenAI president Greg Brockman. So yeah, that's something to look forward to as well. Ay, caramba. I'm just curious, anybody's electric bill gone up? I'm just curious. You don't have to like give details. I'm just curious if you guys have noticed a jump in your electric bill. All right. Finishing this off for tonight, making sure that we cover this because Patrick, you asked about it on Tuesday. I said I needed to dive into it a little bit because I didn't have enough time then to cover it. So we're going to cover it now. This whole TikTok thing that's now being bought out by several people, including Oracle, Larry Ellison, Rupert Murdoch, the news media mogul, and the dude from Dell. Can't remember his first name. Something Dell. Says, here's what we know about who is buying TikTok's U.S. business. It says on Thursday, Trump said Larry Ellison and his company Oracle would be involved in a $14 billion, with a B, deal to buy TikTok's U.S. business. Billionaires Rupert Murdoch and Michael Dell would also play a role. Outside that group, a slew of other names have been reported as potentially being in the deal, including the private equity firm Silver Lake Management and MGX, a venture capital firm based in Abu Dhabi. So yeah, getting them involved too. Not sure how that's America first, but anyways. Trump and the consortium of TikTok U.S. owners would include 4 or 5 world-class investors, while Vice President J.D. Vance refers to the buyers as a blue-chip group of investors. Now, I know a lot of you who watch me here don't give a rip about TikTok. I don't either. I never understood the whole thing behind it, but I know a lot of you don't. But I just want to let you know TikTok is in like the top 5. Last I checked was like a year ago, so it's been a while. So don't quote me on this, but it's in the top 5 platforms that people get news. Yeah, that's dangerous, isn't it? People going to TikTok to get news. And so that's why this is so important. That's why this is important that they keep this going, because that is a rolling propaganda machine. Here in the United States, it's top 5 platform where people get news. So that should tell you something of why they think this is so important to own. Says Trump and the consortium of TikTok U.S. owners would include 4 or 5 world-class investors. J.D. Vance referred to the buyers as blue-chip investors. ByteDance, TikTok's current owner, is also expected to hold a minority stake below 20% and maximum allowed by divest or ban law that spurred TikTok's sales. Oracle, which currently works with TikTok on data security, is expected to take on a significant role in the business going forward. The company will audit the app's algorithm, which will be retrained and operated in the United States outside of ByteDance's control. Control the app's algorithm, says Carolyn Levitt. Well, it's fascinating because with this deal, Trump said, if I could make it 100% MAGA, I would. That's when he greenlit the TikTok deal. So that's fascinating. I wonder if that's going to have anything to do with it. There's also a video that just came out yesterday. Is it yesterday or on Thursday? One of those. It just came out recently where it was a meeting of Netanyahu with a whole bunch of social media Israeli influencers. So American influencers who promote Israel stuff. And he was talking about how his whole goal is to make sure to get to flood TikTok and X in particular with pro-Israeli influence. So fascinating, especially since Larry Ellison, if people don't know, is actually Jewish, and he's one of the top 8 Jewish people who finance Israel's government, surveillance system, and military. So if you don't think that that's not going to play a part in things, I would say it will. Simple as that. So worth noting on that. So software giant Oracle will play a big role in TikTok US, Trump said. The company has been named as one of the 3 primary investors taking control of the US spinoff of TikTok, according to New York reports by CNBC, Reuters, and New York Times. Prior to the recent deal, Oracle was already working closely with TikTok's U.S. data security division. Oracle has stored American TikTok users' data since 2023 as a safeguard for potential data leaks. This is why this is such an easy transition and purchase for them, is because Oracle has already been doing this with TikTok since 2023. They would just have more access to the totality of TikTok with this deal. So that's worth noting as well. It says Oracle will also audit the social media's platform algorithm. Larry Ellison, who doubled his wealth this year and estimated to be the world's second richest person, he hit the number 1 there for a period of time and then dropped back down to 2, is the chairman and co-founder of Oracle and longtime Trump ally. And Oracle didn't respond. Plus, you have Rupert Murdoch. This is always fun. It's not clear exactly how Rupert Murdoch, the conservative media mogul with a multi-billion-dollar empire, will be involved in TikTok's deal. Murdoch Empire includes media assets like Fox, the New York Post, and Wall Street Journal. It's always hilarious when you see people who watch and endorse Fox News, but then call out the Wall Street Journal for being leftist. It goes to show how much they truly know how this works. And those are the people out there that are teaching on current events to people. That should tell you something. On Thursday, when Trump signed the executive order approving TikTok's sale, he said Murdoch would play a part. Trump has also mentioned Lachlan Murdoch, Rupert's son, when speaking about the TikTok deal. Of course, they didn't respond either. Then you have Michael Dell. Dell Technologies chairman and CEO Michael Dell is also mentioned by Trump as part of the TikTok deal. He founded Dell in 1984, then known as PC Limited, later rebranded it. Dell is one of the richest people in the world, right behind Warren Buffett. He didn't respond either. Then you have Silver Lake and MDX. They'll be main investors in the new TikTok deal, according to those same reports. Silver Lake is a tech-focused private equity firm. Its current investments include Carta, Dell Technologies, Genies, and Waymo, per the firm's website. And then MGX is a venture capital firm out of Abu Dhabi. They focus mainly on AI, and that's Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Bro, shorten the name. A member of Abu Dhabi's royal ruling family, and so on and so forth. I want to point this out too, because this is worth mentioning. Pro-Trump billionaires are consolidating media control, which we seem to be seeing that happen right now. This is Larry Ellison, founder of the software firm Oracle, is the second richest billionaire, both in the United States and the world. And for a brief moment was number 1. We went over that as well. There's some stuff that we don't necessarily need to go over because they're just talking about how much money these people have. This is right here. But owning a big chunk of the United States' leading short-form video platform is not Ellison's only claim to being a media mogul. Eyeing the corporate media throne, you can almost hear Ellison channeling Seinfeld's Frank Costanza, confronted with with the daunting prospect of competing in computer sales against IBM and Microsoft, saying, "I got a secret weapon, and it's his son." Larry Ellison's son, David Ellison, who was born into the kind of riches most can barely dream of, is the CEO of Skydance, which recently merged with Paramount, giving him control over CBS. So Larry Ellison, owner of Oracle, who's going to be taking control of TikTok, his son also owns Paramount and CBS. David's contributions tend more toward the Democratic establishment, but if his father's politics that seem to be reshaping the newly bought network, CBS shifts to appease the right under the new owner, and so on and so forth. And then you have Barry Weiss, who's nearing a top role at CBS News, which left-leaning staffers at the network fret could amount to dropping a grenade into the newsroom. It added that the network is weighing naming Weiss editor-in-chief or co-president of the network, and that Ellison is looking to buy her news site, The Free Press. So this would then give him, Larry Ellison, control of the Free Press on top of everything that Skydance, his son, controls at that point as well. There's basically what we're seeing right now is a consolidation of all the media companies getting shuffled even smaller than it already is right now. Keep in mind, there's 5 companies that pretty much own all of the media that we have. And so right now, it's now starting to shift even more, consolidate even more to a smaller group of billionaires that are all wrapped up in the Trump administration. So it's definitely worth noting on that. Let's see here. The Ellison father and son duo are now looking to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which carries with it CNN, creating the unprecedented level of media consolidation. While the Post said that such a purchase would be difficult because Warner Brothers has a market cap of around $38 billion, that might not matter. Larry Ellison's net worth leaped by $100 billion following Oracle's latest blowout earnings report. He is closing in on being the richest dude in the world with a net worth of more than $370 billion. So they're looking to get Warner Bros. Discovery and CNN as well. CNN reports 1.8 million viewers, which I don't know how they have that many people, but okay. And CBS reports an average total audience of 1.4 million viewers for a combined 3.2. So they would have full control of those companies as well. The CNN-CBS combo would reach far more American through online news. Keep in mind, add on TikTok, which is the top 5 platform for news that people get, where people get their news anyways. So you have all of that, all under the control of Larry Ellison, and so on and so forth. I hope you guys are getting it. I know there's a lot of information and a lot of stuff that I'm just kind of throwing at you on that, but I hope you guys are understanding how this not only data collection, but propaganda machine are all being folded under one individual group of very, very small billionaires. Then we have this as well. Oracle's role as protector of TikTok data panned as rehash of earlier plan. So it talks about how TikTok is going to be under the Oracle group. Says Oracle's playing a very big part. Oracle really understands this. Trump said that the Oval Office this week, so I think that it's going to be very well protected. Pay attention, because this is the big one. This is what I want you guys to hear. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro said on Friday that Oracle would function as the great firewall of America. Does anybody know what the Great Firewall is? Not too many people do. I'd be surprised, but Peter Navarro, who's the White House trade advisor, said when Oracle takes control of TikTok, it would be the Great Firewall of America. Great Firewall. Regulatory and technological system of internet control used by the Chinese government to monitor, filter, or block internet-based content for users within the country. The Great Firewall was deployed to selectively separate Chinese cyberspace from the outside world and to prevent Chinese citizens from accessing information that the government has deemed detrimental or potentially destabilizing to the country's interests. The Great Firewall is the Great Digital Wall of China. It's the system that runs the Chinese social credit, surveillance, censorship system. And so what Peter Navarro said is that what Oracle is doing is building the Great Firewall of America. Now, there's a little bit more to this. says in the late 1990s, the number of internet users grew rapidly in China. While Chinese leaders understood the potential value that the internet could provide by granting greater access to global markets and technologies, they were reluctant to jeopardize their authority and control. To gain greater control of the internet, in 1998, China's Ministry of Public Security began an initiative called the Golden Shield Project. Get to that in just a second. To control the flow of information. The project sought methods to control and monitor citizens' internet activity and prevent people from reaching websites that did not conform to the Chinese government's strict policies. The result of this project was the virtual boundary known as the Great Firewall. They are setting the stage for the Chinese-style censorship program to be installed in the United States. Now, the Golden Shield Project. Well, the Golden Shield Project, we actually referenced that just a few weeks ago when we were talking about all the American tech companies that helped design the literal surveillance and censorship program that China uses today. It was the American tech companies that created China's system. Their social credit system, their surveillance system, their digital tracking system, their online content system. It was all American companies that developed those things. It was the American companies that created the Golden Shield Project and the Great Firewall. And we went over this. Across China, tens of thousands of people tagged as troublemakers like the Yangs are trapped in a digital cage, barred from leading their province and sometimes even their homes by the world's largest digital surveillance apparatus. Most of this technology came from the companies in a country that long claimed to support freedoms worldwide. The United States. Over the past quarter century, American tech companies to a large degree designed and built China's surveillance state, playing a far greater role in enabling human rights abuses than previously known. They sold billions of dollars of technology to the Chinese police, government, and surveillance companies, despite repeated warnings from the U.S. Congress and in the media that such tools were being used to quash dissent, persecute religious sects, and target minorities. Yeah, U.S. companies did this by bringing predictive policing to China. Technology that sucks in and analyzes data to prevent crime, protests, or terror attacks before they happen. Such systems mine a vast array of information: text, calls, payments, flights, videos, DNA swabs, mail deliveries, the internet, even water and power use, to unearth individuals deemed suspicious and predict their behavior. Do you see any of that happening here in the United States? Oh, it's coming. And when you centralize a Palantir system like they are, and you start installing the very systems that these tech companies gave to China, and you start installing them here in the United States, boom, here we go. For example, the AP found that the Chinese defense contractor Hadi worked with IBM to design the main policing system known as the Golden Shield for Beijing to censor the internet and crack down on alleged terrorists, the Falun Gong religious sects, and even villagers deemed troublesome. We're seeing all of that stuff being pushed through the White House right now. All of the legislation about all the dissenters and everything, those who oppose the government, those who speak out about certain countries, those who say certain things, certain organizations and groups. These are all the same things that was going on in China before they installed the Golden Shield. What is Trump's favorite color, by the way? Just saying. According to thousands of pages of classified government blueprints taken out of China by a whistleblower, I have looked at those things. I haven't had a chance to actually translate all of them. There's a lot of them, and it's all written in Chinese. But I've looked at a few of them, and yeah, it's legit. It's legit. Across China, surveillance systems track blacklisted key persons whose movements are restricted and monitored. In Xinjiang, administrators logged people as high, medium, or low risk, often according to 100-point scores with deductions for factors like growing a beard, being 15 to 55 years old, or just being a Uyghur, however. This is similar stuff that we're starting to see here in the United States as well. There's something that I'm looking at too that we don't have time to get into, that hopefully we'll get into on Tuesday, which is this. And he just signed it into the executive order on the 25th. It's literally this. And when you have Peter Navarro coming out and saying, this is the great firewall of America, and we know what the firewall actually is. And this is how it's described as stuff that we're seeing being implemented by various policies too. Great Firewall is a variety of legislative and technological functions to achieve the goal of internet control. China's government has mandated that companies are responsible for their public content. Therefore, companies must self-censor. We've talked about this on several bills already. China's government has mandated that companies are responsible for the public content. Therefore, companies must self-censor their public-facing content to eliminate prohibited topics or obscene material. How many bills have we gone over in just the past month of all the states that are implementing exactly that? They're telling the companies that it doesn't matter if you post it, doesn't matter if somebody else posts it on there, you are responsible for that and you have to censor it. Key tactics of internet control include filtering keywords, blocking select foreign websites and apps, blocking IP addresses from certain regions. By law, the Great Firewall prevents users from accessing content that may incite political resistance of any kind or reveal state secrets. Content related to pornography, gambling, and violence is also blocked by the Great Firewall, and we're seeing all that here in the United States as well. We are just a hop, skip, and a jump away from Chinese-style surveillance. And it's being ushered in by the very facade administration, the puppets of this administration that so many in the conservative movements are seal clapping, literally cheering on and saying, that's what I voted for the very thing that they've stood against for years. But they don't care. Why? Because it's the cult of personality. As long as it's got Big Don's face on it, they're in support of it. And they don't care what he's bringing forth. And that's the cult of personality and the fake political theater that we have going on that so many get caught up in. That's so easy to see if you're just willing to look at it. Just a couple last things here. Oracle launches. This was June 17th, so this was just a couple months ago. Oracle launches first of its kind defense ecosystem to redefine national security innovation. So they happened to put this out just before this TikTok thing. Oracle today announced the Oracle Defense Ecosystem, a first-of-its-kind global initiative to redefine the delivery of defense and government technology innovation. The ecosystem is designed to strengthen the U.S. and allied national security and help accelerate the disruptive potential of emerging defense technology by creating new opportunities for defense innovators to leverage the latest cloud and AI technologies. And it plugs directly into Palantir. Members can leverage Palantir Foundry and artificial intelligence platform on their program as well. So you have that. Plus you have the record-shaping deal requires vast data centers and electricity, where Oracle has landed a $300 billion deal with OpenAI, among the largest in cloud history, which has to do with creating a cloud system, cloud-based data system, between OpenAI and Oracle. It says OpenAI has folded the contract into its broader Stargate initiative, their Stargate, a brand created to encompass all of its data center projects, meeting the demands of the deal that require electricity equivalent to more than 2 Hoover dams, and so on and so forth. We're starting to see a system here of Stargate and Palantir that is going not only here in the United States, building centralized data systems for all things government, surveillance, finance, economy, military, you name it. It's Palantir and Oracle that are building these things, and it's going across the world. Something to look at. It sounds kind of like something that could be a possibility for biblical proportions. We don't know, but it seems to be going in that direction. Plus, you have this Meta in talks to sign a $20 billion Oracle Cloud deal as well. This is on top of the OpenAI deal and TikTok, and so on and so forth. So this has to do with Meta now getting involved with the Oracle Cloud system as well. So, Patrick, Chinese, Zach says Chinese style lockdown almost here. Chat says Kit Kats. Yeah. a lot of detail, a lot of words, a lot of information. People get lost and brains full, and so they think of food. I do the same thing. It happens. But yeah, we're at a point. We're at a tipping point here where things are really starting to get interesting. Really interesting. I hope you guys are paying attention. I hope you guys are seeing the details that are happening right now. But it's very interesting what's happening right now. There's so much stuff happening. So much stuff happening. I know there's so many people that are still caught up and trying to find all the little details of that event that happened on the 10th and so on and so forth. And they are missing all of this. Don't miss this stuff. They are using this crisis and they're throwing people into tailspins out there, just looking for all this random stuff that means nothing in the end. It doesn't matter. None of that stuff means anything. But everything that is following that we're going over right now actually does mean something, because that is progressing everything that we're seeing right now. And it's absolutely just... That's all I can say. And again, as I said earlier, use this as an opportunity to strengthen your energy, your will, and your pursuit to just do the work that the Lord wants us to do in these times. Don't get deceived. Don't get tired. Don't take a rest stop because somebody came up with a date of some type. Just continue to do what we're called to do, which is warn people and to share the gospel with as many people as we can. That is the only hope that we have. There's a lot of people out there that have no idea what's going on, but we have the ability to use this information and to share the gospel with people. And this gospel is as simple as ABC. A is you admit that you're a sinner. The act of repentance, the changing of mind, metanoia, turning from self to Christ. It's through repentance that allows us to truly understand why we need Christ as our Savior. How can we believe in Jesus as our Savior if we don't know why we need Jesus Christ as our Savior? And it's through repentance, through metanoia, that allows us to truly believe in Jesus Christ. We believe that Jesus Christ is the one and only begotten Son of God, that he came down 100% man, 100% God, the God-man, the one and only God-man. And he came down and lived the perfect sinless life, the only one to do so, which means he was the only one qualified to carry the sins of the world upon his shoulders, to carry my sin upon his shoulders to the cross where he took my place upon that cross. Instead, I'm the one that drove the nails. And he died upon that cross. But because there's power in the blood of Jesus Christ, and he did exactly as he said he would, exactly as he promised he would, and exactly as he prophesied he would, he defeated death and rose again on the third day. For all who believe in him shall not perish, but live forever in his presence and in his glory. The glory is his. We deserve death, but he defeated death. And it is the finished work upon the cross, tetelestai, it is finished, where we find our salvation. We are called, we are commanded, if we want eternal life, we are to place our faith and our trust in Christ. And that includes placing our faith in the finished, completed work on that cross. There's nothing we can do to earn it. There's nothing that we can do to buy our way in, to transact our way in. He gives it to us as a gift if we place our faith in him. And see, as we call upon the Lord, we are given a wonderful gift of prayer, an incredibly supernatural gift that allows us to have direct access to the throne room of God to communicate with God at any moment of any time, and he hears us. Every word. We say, Lord Jesus, thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice in saving me, Lord. I believe that you are the one and only begotten Son of God, and that you came down and lived the perfect sinless life, that you died upon that cross and you rose again on the third day. Lord Jesus, I need you alone. Come into my life and save me, Lord. Be with me in these times, these crazy times. Direct me where you want me to go. Give me the words that you want me to speak. And allow me to be bold enough to stand upon your word and to preach your name. Come soon, Lord Jesus. Maranatha. If you don't have the Lord, then you have death. Give your life to the Lord and you shall receive life. And don't wait. Don't put it off. Don't put it off. All right. We are late again. I'm sorry, guys. The past couple of episodes have been late. I'm just trying to get all the information to you as I can. So I apologize that we've been going late so many times. I'm sorry about that. Citizen of Heaven question. Zach, did you see that Ted Cruz said on what Ted Cruz said on X, talking about people possibly losing their digital IDs and possibly having the 18-digit number tattooed on their right hand and forehead? I don't know anything about that. If that's legit, that's creepy, to say the least. I need to look at that. But no, I didn't see that. That's just creepy. Yeah. I'm not sure what to make of that. I'll just say that much. I'd have to look at it. Let's see here. Got any questions that aren't about Charlie Kirk? Just being honest here. Let's see here. Stephanie, what about my SETI? Is that in their list? And do you think the government will do a buyback program for our dangerous furniture? Oh man, that's great. That's great. I like that. I don't know. They might want to get those Persian rugs and those ottomans and stuff like that. Those are dangerous. Those are dangerous. Oh my word. Edward McKelvey questions, did you hear anything about a Russian sub having to surface near Gibraltar? We hear about that stuff all the time. I don't necessarily take that stuff into account. Like, we hear about Russian planes getting close to Alaska. That happens several times a year, and it's been going on for years. I know that usually freaks people out because it's a big announcement. Oh, the U.S. is scrambling planes because Russia planes are getting too close to Alaska. We hear about like subs. There was the Russian nuclear sub not too long ago that was that surfaced somewhere in a region that was close to the United States. And I mean, that stuff happens all the time. So I don't necessarily read into that stuff too much because that can lead you down some stuff where it's really not worth really thinking about. So I didn't see that, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Debonnie Ray question, have you been watching Spencer Smith's Charlie Kirk Files? No, I have not. I haven't talked to Spencer in a long time. Unfortunately, Spencer's a little politically deceived on a lot of that stuff. And I don't know. I'll just, no, I haven't. I'll just say that much. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not doing that trick question. That ain't happening. Patrick Starr, question. Real ID took years to roll out in the United States. How long do you think digital ID would take? Digital ID would be a lot quicker than Real ID. Real ID, not only is it physical in what it does, but it's usually because it's physical and it's not like a requirement for things, it just takes a long time to do. Digital ID is something so simple that once they have the infrastructure, they can just send it to all their departments and go, you need digital ID. If you're like the UK is doing right now, it's just like that. You can just flip it. If you want to continue to work, if you want to do this, you want to do that, you need to get digital ID, go to where you would get your regular ID and transition over to it. And it could be done that quick. It could be done once the infrastructure is there. It could be done in, I'd say, 2 months. You could have everybody on digital ID that quick. So yeah, that's something that can happen very fast. Obviously, we don't have it here yet. We don't have all that stuff here yet in itself. But when it's time, they could quickly do it. They could very quickly do it. Just like that. So, all right. That's all the questions we got. There's a whole bunch of other questions. I saw a bait question in there I'm not going to get to, and I saw some other stuff regarding Charlie Kirk, and we're not going to get into that stuff. So we'll just leave it there. So thank you guys for joining me today. Again, I apologize it was late. We have church and stuff to get to tomorrow, but usual spiel, if you guys can, like, share, subscribe, get this out to as many people as you can. It's not about views, not about butts and seats, but it is about getting the warning out to people and getting people to Jesus. So if you guys can do me a solid, like, share, subscribe, it would certainly help reach those people. Also, make sure you guys follow me on Rumble and Telegram. Those are my backup channels. If I get booted off YouTube, we'll be back up live streaming over on Rumble. So make sure you guys follow me there. And then Telegram, post updates, announcements, and other things I can't necessarily put in video format. But if you don't like Rumble, you don't like Telegram, I don't blame you. Just make sure you guys bookmark the WretchedWatchmen.com website. Your one-stop shop for everything. Everything that you want to know what's going on in the wretched world of Watchmen is there. So, latest podcasts and live streams are always there, and announcements are there, and everything else in between can all be found at the website. So make sure you guys bookmark the website. And last but not least, if you guys would like to support this channel, I got donation links down below. CashApp, Venmo, and GiveSendGo. This channel is not monetized. I don't make anything from ads, views, anything like that. Runs solely off of your guys' generous donations. So if you guys would like to support this, help keep this going, help this crazy. I mean, I'll tell you what, I have never felt more like a misfit than I have in the past week. I'll tell you what, it's been one of those weeks. But I'm thankful for all of you that not only allow me a place to fellowship with y'all, but for you guys to fellowship with each other. You guys are the ones that make this work. So thank you guys for your support and everything. You guys are awesome. So, yeah, tomorrow is Sunday, so make sure you guys get your wretched, heathenic, misfit booties to church tomorrow. And if the Lord does not come back by Tuesday, same time, same place. I'll meet you guys right back here. Peace out. Maranatha. My button's not working. Give me a second. There we go.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.